On July 26, the world learned that the Presidential Guard had sequestrated President Mohamed Bazoum, who was the president of Niger. He came to power in 2021, elected democratically. The president was deposed by the head of the Presidential Guard, a general by the name of Abdurrahman Tiani. And that caused a serious tension between the Presidential Guard and the rest of the military, of course. But since they were holding the president, there was not a lot that the other sides of the army could do. Eventually, some of the officers joined General Tiani in this endeavor, and they've since set what they call the National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland, which is led by General Tiani. This is considered a transitional government. General Tiani, in his communique, said that he was taking over to save the homeland, to save the country, because the security situation has deteriorated. Now, Niger sits in a very bad neighborhood. We recently have seen a series of coups in Guinea, Burkina Faso, in Mali. Those were military coups. The region is also prone to extremist violence. We've seen all these insurgents and militia groups that have set shop in the region. And because the Sahel is such an expanse of land, it's been really difficult to rein these groups in. In one way, this coup d'etat came as a surprise, simply because Niger, up to now, was considered to be relatively stable compared to its neighbors. And because of that, Niger had offered a safe haven to a lot of other groups, right? Groups that were positive. So when the French were told to leave Mali, they relocated in Niger. The Americans have a base there in Agadez, and then the French have about 1,500 troops there. And Niger, the Nigerian people, were not particularly happy with this massive presence of foreign troops. French colonial legacy is very bad. And I think most of the former French colonies, in most of those countries, they don't have any love for France. So we've seen a lot of people show up at the protests with Russian flag. At this point, I think we just have to accept these are Russian flags and not extrapolate on what they mean. The sentiment is anti-French, but also anti-France sentiment do not automatically transfer into a love surplus for Russia. The people in power, General Tiani and his people, have not signaled that they want to be with Russia. But I think as we engage with them, particularly the erstwhile allies like the United States and France, I think there gotta be room to really engage them so they don't fall by the wayside and go the Wagner way. Now, is Russia trying to seize the moment? I've not talked to them, but I suppose they are, because Russians have tried to seize the moment in Mali, where they're very present, to the Wagner Group and other arrangements. So this is an opportunity for the United States, for France, and other like-minded countries to really look in the mirror and say, how do we fix this? And fix this does not mean impose our military might, but means how do we adjust our engagement in this country to help them meet the needs of the people.
Let's take a deeper look with regards to this particular relationship. Why is it France's name keep coming up over and over? It means there is a particular problem with France with regards to its West African, Francophone African countries. France has been the colonial master for so many years, and as you can imagine, France has actually impoverished most of those African countries. Specifically, if you look at the situation in Mali, Burkina Faso, look at Niger, and look at Guinea, look at Chad, look at Central African Republic, Cameroon, all of these countries, Gabon, there are challenges in this French-speaking country. I think France has a particular problem. Why are these countries not asking other European nations or the United States or China or Japan to leave their country? At this moment, Africa does not want war. Africans have fought wars over the years since independence. Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world, if not the second poorest country. But if you look at the exploration and the exploitation of that country by France, collecting or exploring at the moment as we speak, France is exploiting minerals, looking at uranium, coming out from Niger to electrify France at the moment, but Niger stay in complete darkness. There is a particular problem. Let's zoom back to understand the basics here. France has a particular colonial problem with African countries, specifically those in Francophone Africa. France has not invested to an extent when you compare what the Chinese have done in Africa. For a short period of time, France has been with those countries since independence. France has actually looted those countries extensively to an extent that those countries are beginning to speak out. So I believe that France is beating the drum of war in the continent of Africa. At this moment, France does not really have any country that is supporting it, otherwise France would have gone to war. ECOWAS, I think, is a disgraceful organization in Africa because ECOWAS got it completely wrong at this time. Listen, the junta actually take power. There was no bloodshed, nobody died, or if any incident occurred. But at the moment, France is pushing this for its own self-interest. I think Nigeria is a failure at this case, and Nigerians government has actually acknowledged its failures in several ways. ECOWAS intervened at the moment in Niger. Tons of soldiers would die and Africa will be destabilized again. It is like a ploy. When there is destabilization, companies cannot come to these countries, businesses cannot come in to invest. So it appears this is a camouflage by France to destabilize those regions, so they cannot have any investment or foreign direct investment coming into those particular countries, specifically into the Sahel region. So France should actually leave Niger for peace to reign. There is no need. I mean, when you look at being in a country where you are convocated and your ambassadors refusing to attend the convocation, it means the country has a specific reason why they are refusing to attend that convocation. Things have changed. Mohamed Bazoum is no longer in power. There is a new regime in Niger at the moment. The same thing that happened in Burkina Faso, the same thing that happened in Mali, the same thing that happened in Guinea. I think Niger is not going to be any different. So France should respect that particular regime at the moment to avoid war. Africa does not want war anymore. African people have been through a lot over the years. Just came out from COVID-19 and a lot of people died because of that pandemic, unfortunately, and it affected African economies, and Niger was no exemption. So there is no need that France should be hanging on to Niger and actually trying to destabilize that poor nation. So France should leave and that to bring peace back in that particular African country. There is just no need for France to stay. If you're refusing to attend a simple invitation and insisting that there is a legitimate president, you don't have to speak for the Niger people. They have made the decision, and if you are insisting, it means you have a secondary aim to escalate the event. Hopefully that we've informed you with the transformation events in the region, and let us know what you think with regards to if you are coming from one of those areas in the continent of Africa, and why do you think Africa should not engage in any war, and why France should respect the international geopolitical issues and leave Niger to bring peace in that region. I want to thank you for watching. We're looking forward to meeting you in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye bye.